recently you changed your name, I believe, to Anthony Q.
Correct.
Why did you do that?
I wanted to recreate myself, so it wasn't like a major name change. My middle name is Anthony. My full name is Quanell Anthony Mosley. So Anthony Q, it just reminded me of, like, I'm a big fan of, like, Sam Cooke. I'm big fans of Donny Hathaway, like those type of names. So when I took my middle name and put it in front of the Q, it kind of reminded me of that type of swagger.
Okay.
So I wasn't trying to be Puff. I wasn't trying, like a lot of people be like, why are you trying to be Puff? Why are you trying to change his name? No, it was just me trying to recreate myself.
And that's a good thing. And with recreation, that means there's some sort of growth. So how have you grown both musically and personally since your days back on making the band?
I definitely matured a lot. The last 3 years, I've been, like, studying different styles of music. I had this situation with Mr. Gooding, Sr., Cuba Gooding Sr., and he had me, like, studying 70s era music, like the main ingredients, the Blue Magics, the Manhattans, the Bee Gees, Funkadelics. So I would say I definitely grown musically, and I've grown spiritually, and I've just matured a lot.
Okay. And you mentioned that Cuba Gooding Jr., he's your mentor, correct?
Not junior, senior.
I meant senior, sorry. He's your mentor?
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah,
how
he
did
was
that come about?
mentoring me. Well, long story short, he met, my mother met him at a concert and exchanged information. We linked. I showed him my EPK, and he was very interested in my project. May 11th, he had a concert in New York City. I came there. I was supposed to perform, didn't perform. Instead, he had me watch the show, and that's when I first saw, like, the different styles of music of his eras, where he came from. So that's how we linked. It started at a concert. My parents met him, and we exchanged information, and he was really interested in my work, so he gave me a chance.
So you were watching the concert, and I'm pretty sure you're so used to being on stage. How did it feel to watch another artist be on stage, and what did you learn by watching the performance?
It humbled me a whole lot, and, you know, I'm already humble. I like learning and listening, but just to watch, you know, those who paved the way for me to do music today, you know, it just made me be more, you know, interested in this type of music. You know what I mean? A lot of people, they forget where they come from. A lot of artists, they just come out and they be like, well, they think that they've made the sound and they think that they've made the music. And a lot of people don't humble themselves and give credit to those who actually paved the way. So I was just, like, humbled, man, and honored just to be a part of that and to be in their presence. And for them to, you know, actually want to give me a chance to sing, you know what I mean? It was a humbling experience.
Okay, and that's a pretty good thing. So, and I was thinking a lot of R&B, well, I've noticed that a lot of R&B artists today, they're kind of selling themselves short in a sense. In my opinion, I think a lot of them are crossing over to the pop sound to appeal to a mainstream audience. What are your thoughts about that, and do you foresee yourself following that trend?
I love all genres of music, so I wouldn't mind crossing over into pop. I really want to put out an R&B album too, you know what I mean? Because, you know, I was a part of a group that was R&B based. But, yeah, hell yeah, I want to cross over and do pop music. I want to do all kinds of music. I'm a fan of all genres.
Okay. And speaking of the R&B group, could you describe your experience from being with a male R&B group, signed to a major label, to now being an independent solo artist? Like, what has your transition been like?
The experience was incredible. Besides all the messy business stuff, the experience being in a group with for the members and winning awards and doing red carpets and, you know, just all that stuff, making music videos. All that stuff was amazing. It was everything I dreamed of, being signed with a major record label, walking into the building and, you know, seeing artists that you grew up listening to on the wall and then your picture's right next to them on the wall. It was like, it was so magical. It seemed like a dream, you know what I mean? And I don't regret anything from being in the group and being signed to a major record label.
Okay. So what is it like now?
Incredible.
Being
it's
an independent artist.
It's still incredible. The experience is still incredible. Me as a solo artist, because I just have a passion for singing, you know. I just love to sing. So I never looked at it as, you know, I mean, in the beginning when I was auditioning for making a band, of course it felt like life or death because that's when I was going after it. But now, after experiencing all of it, you know, it's just, it feels normal and I'm very happy. And even though I got kicked out of the group, you know, I still feel like I have a chance and I still feel like my fans support me and they're anticipating my music, and that's what keeps me motivated and going, you know.
Right, and I respect that, that despite the fact that you got allegedly kicked out the group, that you continue to do what you love, which was sing, and continue to put out music. You had, I remember downloading the Q files when you first put it out, and then you released Guitar Her, which had a very unique concept with the, you know, acoustic-driven tracks. Do you have any plans on your next project? Is that going to be similar to Guitar Her with some sort of concept, or?
The next project hopefully will be an album. I have some things that are coming up that are really, really big that I'm excited about. I don't want to talk too fast, but hopefully the next project will be an album. And I don't have a concept yet, but I'm in the studio and I'm putting it together because I think it's time to give the fans what they really want. You know, the last mixtape I put out, Guitar Her, it got over like 750 downloads, 50,000 downloads in less than like 5 weeks. The first 3 weeks, it received over 300,000 downloads. So the numbers were like crazy. I was like, yo, this is this is insane. You know, nobody gets those type of numbers. So I was very, you know, excited, and I was thankful, grateful for that. But the new project, hopefully it'll be an album, and hopefully it'll be out really, really soon. Maybe by next year, hopefully before next year.
And you plan on releasing that independently, or you're waiting to sign with the label?
Yeah, I can't say anything yet.
Okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been putting out, speaking of music, you've been putting out covers. Like I recently listened to your Sex Ain't Better Than Love cover and Thinking About You, Climax. Are those you just putting them out there, or do you plan on releasing a mixtape or something with
those are
covers?
cover songs that, just to keep, you know, people who are interested in my music, you know, excited about my projects. So I do like cover songs, just so they won't be like, well, what is he doing? You know, he's not doing nothing. I don't want them to think that. So I do cover songs here and there just to keep them amped and anticipate my music.
Okay. Now, speaking of albums, I recently saw an interview with Tyrese. Raheem Devon was interviewing him at the Essence Music Festival, and he was saying his frustration with today's R&B albums is he thinks that they're oversaturated with features and appearances, and they got like 30, and I'm paraphrasing, they have like 30 different producers, so the spirit and the inconsistency of the album is all over the place. What are your thoughts on that?
I think R&B is at a pretty good state. You know, I love all the artists that are out now and they're putting out music. Me personally, I don't want a lot of features. You know, I want people to hear my sound. So, you know, maybe if I put out an album, maybe it'll feature, you know, some people, but, you know, for the most part, I don't want to feature the whole industry. So I kind of agree with Tyrese if he said that, you know, albums shouldn't be, you know, R&B albums shouldn't be oversaturated with features. It should just showcase, you know, the raw R&B talent of the artist.